start of this season, I think it'd been fair to say that Ben Johnson, in terms of a new deal, probably wasn't really high on the priority list for West Ham and also West Ham fans in general. I think that judging by what happened last season and probably what's been happening over quite a long period with Ben Johnson, is we've seen his sort of career sort of starting to falter at West Ham. Nothing's really happening. When he's been called upon, he hasn't really impressed. But I think that has changed quite significantly thanks to the performances we've seen so far this season. Before going to the video, though, I just want to say we're giving away West Ham Top. We do it every month. We're doing it for the whole season. All you got to do is be a subscriber. So just click on subscribe to do so. And you're part of our journey. And also you enter the competition and it's free. So why not? Also click the like button because that does help us as well. Also, another thing I just want to let you know, we did recently on the last shirt giveaway, we asked fans for their feedback, and overwhelmingly, one of the things was live. People want to see live. They want fans to be involved more and have a bit of a live show with myself and Riley. So we're going to be doing that. In fact, I think it might even be happening this week. If not this week, it will definitely be next week. But we're going to make a sort of proper announcement about it and show you all about it and when it's going to be. But basically, it's going to be either on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. It's going to be for sort of 45 minutes, a show that you can all come in, all make comments, and we can have a bit of a interaction about the week's events and games coming up, etc. We'll let you know a bit more about it. But yeah, thank you so much for your feedback. And there's more other stuff we've got going in the background. There's also some big announcements coming soon from the West Ham Way with regards to Patreon and some new content coming out and stuff like that. So do stay tuned regarding that. But yeah, again, thanks so much for your feedback. It does really mean the world. Why not? I mean, we're all part of this together, aren't we? And it does really mean something that when you know that you've got sort of decent community building. And so really thank you for that. And we'll keep you posted with the new content we've got coming your way. So let's go on to Ben Johnson. I mean, I for one was on the side of thinking that his time was up at West Ham. I did feel that we'd seen enough of Ben Johnson. I just felt that last season when he was called upon, he wasn't very good. I wasn't ever impressed with him. He was a little bit like a rabbit in the headlights, to be honest. And I just didn't see much of a future. The club have always sort of maintained they wanted to keep him. They've been having talks, but from what we understand the talks have always been centered around money, basically, that the club feel that Johnson sort of like is a club player still coming from the academy, stepping into sort of more first team responsibilities, but still not a first team, regular starter for the starting 11, which I think is reasonable to say that. Whereas Ben Johnson, on the other hand, feels that, he should be earning a Premier League salary now. He has been around long enough now. He's an established member of the squad and he should be respected in that regard in terms of what he's going to be paid. So I think you've always sort of felt that, especially like if we go from last season, my feeling was that if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Let's look to move him on. And I generally felt that this season we'd probably be offloading him either the summer just gone or this January. That was my gut feeling in regards to Johnson. But there's always been talk that they were trying to get a new deal agreed. But I've got to say, I think Ben Johnson, credit to him, has been fantastic. He's been really, really good when he's been called upon this season. He really has. He's looked assured. He looks a guy that is enjoying his football. And when not only do you see that in terms of, well, one, there's a big smile on his face. I mean, when he came on against Sheffield United, you see him buzzing. He's excited to be on the pitch. And I think that rubs off on other people. But I also like the fact that he creates an energy about him, this sort of, he's forward thinking. He's a bit daring. You know what I mean? He's up for it. And I just think that when you look at our performance against Sheffield United, when he came on, he was a breath of fresh air. He really was. I mean, he'd done so well going into a position we don't usually see him in, going into that central midfield role. I was expecting him. When he was put in that position, I thought he's just going to get run all over the place. He's going to be pulled from pillar to post, but it was far from it. He looked assured. He looked like he knew exactly where he was supposed to be. He was head up, shoulders up. When he was on the ball, he was passing it around well, and also carried the ball really well. I was really, really impressed. I did it a couple of videos back. I was saying it's important that we get him onto a new deal, but that just reaffirmed it for me that West Ham really do need to get it sorted because he is a vital player. I love the fact he's so versatile. Plays at right back, he can play at centre back, he can play at left back. We can now play in midfield. These are players you can't just let go. West Ham, I feel that we certainly have in the past, and we shot ourselves in the foot when it comes to negotiations, especially when it's come to negotiations with academy players. I feel that the club got their fingers burned a few years ago, if you remember, with Reece Oxford, when he was sort of an emerging star from our academy, wanting this big deal. And if I remember correctly, I think the club agreed to pay him 30 grand a week. And bearing in mind, this was back in 2007, maybe 2010, maybe I'm going a little bit too far back. But anyway, quite a way back. It would have been later than that, wouldn't it? It would have probably been around the 2012 mark, something like that. Anyway, he ended up leaving. Anyway, we paid him this wage, and there was a feeling that once he got into that position, he went to his head a little bit. His performance level started to drop. The attitude wasn't great. All these things happened. Anyway, cut a long story short, he ended up leaving. And I feel that the club have now used that as that experience and said, right, we're not doing that again. And we're going to always have this sort of strict structure of how we pay players. You can understand it. There is a feeling of, okay, we've learned your lesson from it. But I do feel like we are using that one time as an excuse now all the time with our academy boys, and it just feels like sometimes it's actually holding us back and causing us a few issues. We've lost players because of it. Harrison Ashby was one of them who left because of the money. Look, and I'm not saying they've all gone on to do wonderful things, but it's sad, regardless, to see academy boys leave that you actually think they've actually got a bit of a chance at West Ham, and then we just let them go. Some I can understand that they're just saying, well, they don't really see a big future for them. With Ben Johnson, though, I don't want to go down that path again. I feel that we need to accept the fact that he is a Premier League player. He's proven that now. He's proved as such a useful player to have. And I genuinely starting to believe that he could immerse himself as a first 11 player very soon. He's got an opportunity now, of course, with Vladimir Coufal being banned, and he'll be missing the Bournemouth game. You imagine Ben Johnson will be coming at right back. I mean, let's be honest, if he comes in and puts a good performance in there, Vladimir Coufal's going to struggle to get that position back. He really will, because Johnson has been that impressive, and I don't want to see us lose him. I really don't. But we've got a bit of an update, actually, on it, rather than me just waffling on, talking about my feelings on Johnson. It does appear that talks are actually starting to progress with him. So as far as we understand it, I don't like to talk about numbers because it's the guy's personal negotiations, you know what I mean? And I personally don't think he's being greedy, really. And let's be honest, even in our day-to-day lives, you're not going to go in negotiations about your salary and going low, are you? He's going to always want to go a little bit higher and say, look, this is what I think I should be paid, and hopefully they can meet somewhere in the middle. But as far as we understand it from ex-WHU employee, the conversations is centred around the money side of it with his agent. They basically believe that he should be on a decent Premier League wage, which, the 50, 60 grand a week mark, which let's be honest, when you consider Premier League footballers, that's probably the sort of the mid-ground, isn't it, for a wage? You'd say, yeah, 50 grand a week, let's say. But West Ham believe he should be more in the 30 realm, which I think is the sort of lower end with our players, because they feel like he's stepping out of the academy. We went through this with bloody Declan Rice, if you remember, when he first got his, I think it was his, not his first, yeah, it was his first sort of big deal with the club. I know he had a second one that he signed, but that was a sort of big deal that he signed and with West Ham, sorry. And what we did was we dicked around with it. We did the same thing. We sort of, we don't want to give him a big pay rise because he's just come out of the academy and all that. Look, and I appreciate Johnson's not on the same level as Rice. He'd bloody admit that himself. There's not many that are. But, don't shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, he's not asking for ridiculous salary. If he came out and said, 150 grand a week, then yeah, you go, look, we're not doing that. Come on, let's get realistic. But if he's asking 50 grand a week or 40, they've got to come to an agreement. So from what we understand it from our side at the moment, there is a bit of confidence that there will be a deal struck with him. And we need it now. I mean, when I saw him against Sheffield United, it was just clearly a case of that we've got to keep that player. And the fact he's an academy boy as well. We love our academy lads. We want to see him stay at the club. We want to see him do well. We don't want to see him go. So let's hope that we can get that one over the line, because that would be a nice boost, wouldn't it? That really would, between now and the end of the season. So I believe the talks are progressing. I mean, we're still some distance apart in valuation what we can do, but let's hope that they can sort of soften their stance a little bit. West Ham can come a little bit up a little bit, and they can find a decent figure to agree at. Personally, I think they will. I get this feeling that they will come to a compromise. He's too important. You can't lose a player that can play in all those positions, but not only play in those positions, but actually play well in those positions, and go, yes, get rid of him, because who are you going to get in then? Tell me who you're going to bring in to replace Ben Johnson that can do all those jobs at a wage that's going to be much, much less. I don't see it. I really don't. So I just think it's vital the club get this one sorted out. Also, I want to talk about the new kit. I mean, I can't believe I'm talking about new bloody kit. It's only January, but we've actually been given some news about it, the new kit for next season. So, according to ex-WHU employee, I mean, it's still very early days. We've only got a sort of like a mock-up design at the moment. You can see it on the thumbnail in this. If you want to see more about that, you can go to our website. We put it on the westhamway.com, or if you're a patron, you can see a bit more clear on that. That's on patreon.com/the West Ham Way. And basically, the kit is going to be based on a 1965 European Cup Winners' Cup winning side. And I'll tell you what I really like about this, right? I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I mean, I'm a bit of a kid when it comes to kits. You know what I mean? I literally love it. Like, get all excited. What's it going to look like? I know it's a bit sad, but I can't help it. I still always do. I always I mean, I don't really care what they wear, really. You know, as long as they win, I don't really care. But you know what I mean. I always do. I still get that sort of excitement about a new kit and thinking, oh, I might go and buy that one and what have you. But this one's going to be traditional. It looks like they're going back to the white shorts and white socks and the proper old school, just claret blue, done. You know, no messing about, and a nice round collar, which would be nice, and the same for the sleeves. It looks like a really old school traditional West Ham kit from what we understand it. And as I say, it's in hemorrhage to the 1965 kit. So if you haven't seen that, go and have a look at that kit, and then you'll sort of get an idea of what they're going to base it on. So, I mean, as you say, you see it on the thumbnail, what it kind of looks like. I'm really impressed with it. This is what I want to hear. I want to go back to traditions. I don't like this. Look, it's grown on me a little bit, the kit this season, with the claret shorts and the stripy socks. I quite like it in a way. I don't know why it's grown on me. I thought I would hate it, but I don't. But I still miss the white and white. I really do. There's something that's proper West Ham, isn't it? Like, and I want to go back to that old classic look. And so apparently that's what we're going to be getting. So yeah, bit of an update. We're going to be getting more of these, by the way, in terms of the kits. I think X is going to be providing a bit more updates, but this is the initial design, and it's by Umbro. Because there was also this conversation, wasn't there, about Umbro being ditched. We're going to move on to Nike. I really don't want Nike, by the way. I don't like their kits at all. I just don't. They've put out some proper shockers the last few years. I just don't, not my fan. And it don't really fit West Ham, does it, Nike? I don't know why. I'm just, no, not for me. Adidas to be more up our street, but I quite like Umbro. I don't really have a problem with it. I think they've been fine. Apart from last season's home one, I weren't a big fan of the whole design on the shoulders. I didn't think that worked very well. A bit crap, but this season I don't mind. Okay, I think it's quite smart. Even with the bubbles, they're not too bad. I wish they'd just kind of done the bubbles away. I know I'm just rambling here, but, you know, you stay with me. But this one, from what I understand, it's going back to the old classic kit, and it's going to be Umbro. I think it's Umbro's 100-year anniversary as well, so they're seeing that as a big thing. But, yeah, so keep an eye out for that one. We'll give you a bit more update on that. And, of course, we're really hoping that we're going to get some decent transfer news. We're going to keep you posted with that. It's constantly stuff breaking at the moment all the time, but we've just got to try and keep up to date with it. The best way to do so, by the way, is on our Patreon channel. As I say, the link's below. If you're not a patron, go and check it out. £5 a month. You can't go wrong. You get all the transfer news from West Ham literally at your fingertips, and really detailed and constantly keeps you up to date with the pace of it. So, yeah, please do go and check that out. And let's hope we get some good news on the Johnson deal, because we need to keep him. He's a good player, and from what we understand, talks are going pretty well.